Hey, welcome back to the Learning Teams channel. Today I want to talk to you about building a learning culture and what leadership must do differently. We're going to talk about how leaders can learn from normal work and not just incidents. So, most organizations would say that they value learning, but in practice, learning usually starts only after something goes wrong, like an incident, maybe an equipment failure or a production failure, or even a serious near miss. And then the opportunity to prevent the incident or accident has already passed. So today I want to talk about what leaders must do differently to build a learning culture that learns from normal work, not just breakdowns. Because real improvement doesn't start with accidents. It starts with understanding what everyday operations actually looks like. Let's talk about why incident-based learning is limited. When learning is driven only by incidents, organizations can only learn from the final outcome of an incident, or the visible failure when someone suffers consequences. But what they miss is what really matters. They miss the pressures people are under every single day, even in successful work. They miss the trade-offs their people make to get things done. Or they miss the adaptations that just become routine in everyday operations. They miss the weak signals that existed long before the event. Incidents only show the last link in the chain of the incident. They don't show you how the chain was slowly built and then stretched over time. Leaders who want stronger systems must learn from what happens when things are still working, when you're still getting positive outcomes. Now let's talk about the gap between work is imagined and work is done. And most leadership decisions are based on policies, procedures, process maps, reports. All of that stuff is really good, but we call it work as imagined. The problem is frontline teams operate in work as done, with interruptions, equipment limitations, staffing challenges, or real-world constraints. And because leaders don't regularly see this reality, decisions are often made on incomplete information. Now, a learning culture closes this gap by making everyday work visible, not just obvious deviations and failures. Here's the first thing leaders have to change. Building a learning culture is not about new tools. It starts with leadership behavior. Here are 3 shifts that matter the most. You have to shift from blame to curiosity. Instead of asking, hey, why did you break that rule? A good leader, a learning leader, is going to ask, hey, can you describe the practical way you have to get the job done? This curiosity shift uncovers system problems. Blame shuts learning down. We have to go from occasional reviews to continuous learning. Learning shouldn't only happen during investigations, audits, annual reviews. Leaders have to create regular opportunities to hear from frontline teams about what's getting harder. Where are our controls weak? What workarounds exist in our everyday operation? And most importantly, what support from leadership is missing? This turns learning into part of operations, not just an emergency response. Shifting from fixing people to fixing conditions is the third leadership shift. When something goes wrong, the fastest reaction is to retrain the worker or fix the worker. But most problems are caused by poor work design, conflicting priorities, resource constraints, technology limitation. Learning cultures improve the system around people and not just the people inside of it. You might be asking, okay, this is great, but how do learning teams help me with this? Learning teams provide a structured way for leaders to learn from real work. They create conversations focused on how work actually happens, around what makes tasks difficult, or why people adapt, or where systems don't support reality. And most importantly, learning teams are non-blaming, experience-focused, improvement-oriented. And this builds trust, which leads to better reporting, more honest conversations, and stronger engagement. Leaders don't just receive data, they receive insight. And insight is what drives meaningful change. A learning culture isn't created by slogans or posters. And you know this. It's created when leaders listen before judging, learn from success as well as failure, and improve systems instead of blaming people. When learning from normal work becomes part of leadership practice, organizations become safer, more adaptive, and more resilient. That's the role of learning teams. Helping leaders turn everyday experience into organizational learning and business intelligence. I hope you like this video, and I hope it helps. Follow Learning Teams for more leadership, operational learning, and building stronger systems information. We'll see you next time.